Bitcoin's going to $1 million a coin, then $10 million a coin. And all the people that believed in Bitcoins for the last decade are going to have the financial wherewithal to create their own companies to do whatever they want. We want to find the path of least resistance to fix everything. Looking at every single part of the economy, every country would be better if they had some Bitcoin. Cities can be improved if they buy Bitcoin. If a city buys Bitcoin and they issue bonds, the bond becomes a Bitcoin-backed bond, right? It becomes a derivative of Bitcoin. So I'm not against bonds, right? I'm not the guy saying we shouldn't have bonds. We should have bonds, right? If the junk bond index is 4% and you can issue a Bitcoin-backed bond at 6%, it's good for the people that have trillions of dollars locked up in bonds. It's good for Bitcoin. It's good for everybody in the middle. Right? We could say, we can take the orthodox draconian view, which is bonds should go away and Bitcoin should replace them overnight, but it's not possible, but it's not even a better view, right?
Yeah.
A better view is you take your bank and you start handling Bitcoin, and you take your mobile app and you build Lightning into the mobile app, and you take your company and you buy it and you buy Bitcoin. And the reason I don't really think it's a threat to the Bitcoin ethos is because ultimately, none of these people can control Bitcoin. It's like people worry, like, so I have $7 billion or $8 billion of Bitcoin. I don't have any more power than anybody else, right? And in fact, the only sentiment that's grown in my mind as my Bitcoin position has grown is I don't want anybody to change it. Like, don't mess it up. I think that I'm not threatened if a government buys Bitcoin. It wouldn't be bad for Bitcoin, right? I'm not threatened if a company buys it, if a bank buys it. There's one point worth making. If your portfolio is 100% Bitcoin, you don't have any conflicts of interest. The debate of whether or not people use Square, Cash App, PayPal, Robinhood, Coinbase, Binance, or buy the ETF, or buy it through Fidelity or unedited doesn't really matter to you, right? Doesn't matter to you. Whether they buy MicroStrategy stock to get Bitcoin exposure doesn't matter to you, right? You're just holding the underlying asset. If you decide that you want to get in the business of selling hardware wallets, or if you run an exchange, or if you provide advice, and now you have a conflict of interest. So now you're a Bitcoin entrepreneur. If you're Tether and you're issuing stable coins, you don't want JP Morgan to issue stable coins. It's conflict of interest, right?
It's competition.
Right? I mean, if the feds say you have to get an FDIC license, now you got to jump through a hurdle. Now you need general counsels. You need to actually pay lawyers. You have to do stuff, right? You have to have nexus. You have to have insurance. It's harder. So there are a lot of things that are happening in the economy. They're good for Bitcoin. They're just not good for every entrepreneur in the crypto ecosystem. And there is a conflict of interest. And that's why, like, people ask me, well, are you going to get into other things? Are you going to build software? Well, that's conflict of interest, you know? Yeah. Are you going to go into Bitcoin mining? That's a conflict of interest. Are you going to, invest with a counterparty? That's conflict of interest, right? Bitcoin's going to $1 million a coin, then $10 million a coin. And all the people that believed in Bitcoins for the last decade are going to have the financial wherewithal to create their own companies to do whatever they want, right? And to express their sentiment. It's just not good for the entrepreneurs that compete against the mega caps. So the right way to think about Bitcoin is Bitcoin's creating an opportunity. It's an opportunity for your family to save money for 100 years. It's an opportunity to fix your company. MicroStrategy stock is, hitting 800, right? It's an opportunity for your shareholders. It's an opportunity for your taxpayers. It's an opportunity for your constituents. It's an opportunity in the media business, right? I mean, nobody wants to talk about anything but Bitcoin. Everybody wants to talk about Bitcoin. It's an opportunity for Twitter. It's an opportunity for every mobile app. The Romans, they were good at killing people. It's not easy to kill people, right? I mean, to raise an army, they didn't show up with bows and arrows and spears. They showed up with industrial-grade artillery that tossed 50-pound flaming balls of shrapnel at you from 500 meters or 1,000 meters away. You see that over and over again, right? Steel trumps iron and iron trumps bronze. And that's because, and bronze trumps stone, right? You pick up a stone. If you pick up the sharp rock, you beat the other guy. If you're smart enough to pick up a rock and the other guy didn't pick up a rock, you won the fight. If you had the iron, then you beat the guys with the bronze. If you had the steel, you beat the guys with the iron. You ever seen steel forged? People don't even think about this. Walk into a steel mill, look around. What do you think's going on? They're channeling immense energy, right? The fire, the heat, or electric rolled steel, massive energy into metallic form. Air powers energy, potential energy. You get up 50,000 feet, you drop someone on someone's head. Okay, what's the channeling part? Remember the Gulf War? Norm Schwarzkopf used to show the videos of the laser-guided bomb, and something that's in the clouds dropped a bomb that managed to hit, a 3x3 space from 50,000 feet up, through the wind. The channeling of the energy through time and space, and being better at channeling it. That explains why every team wins in sports. That's why Tom Brady wins, because the quarterback you've seen him put the football in exactly the spot. You have to put that football in that space in a plus or minus 10 millisecond time spot with the right spin on the ball. And if you happen to be able to do that, you can win. And is it random? No. It's not random. There's one guy that's better at it than everybody else. And if he didn't have the team, they wouldn't win. So every winner is better at channeling energy in time and space. Every civilization, every city, every company, right? Every investor. So the real power of Bitcoin is digital energy. And until you figure it out, if I said to you, what is digital energy? Well, digital energy is I'm going to put $100 billion into this container, and then I'm going to do a magic trick, and it's not here anymore. But guess what? I can move it at the speed of light 1 billion times a second, and you can't find it. And I can put it into every car, and it'll drive every car on the planet for the next 2 years without fuel. Sounds like a magic spell. It is a magic spell. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Bitcoin's digital energy, the next best thing is electrical energy. It's not, information. These are not nearly as good. It's 1,000 times better than the thing it's replacing. A lot of people, they can't get their head around it. They don't want to understand it. The conclusion is, if I told you, which country is going to win the war? The one that masters air power, right? The first half of World War II was air power, sea power. The British, controlled the seas, right? Or how about this? Nuclear power? What could nuclear power do for you, right? You think you weren't channeling energy, right? You're channeling energy. So now we're talking about digital energy. And you would ignore it at your own risk. It doesn't guarantee you win, right? What's a gun? A gun is channeling with precision, right? Chemical energy or explosive energy, right? It's pretty obvious if you think about it. Guns, germs, steel, you're channeling energy. Lord help you if you're on the wrong side of that. But if I do hand you the gun, you'll probably win unless you're stupid enough to shoot your own foot off. And there are examples of people that shoot their own foot off in the history of war and the history of civilization. But ultimately, what history's telling us is the team that is most coordinated, that channels energy, always wins. And Bitcoin's a good bet just because it's digital energy, and the advantage you have versus using metallic energy in the form of gold or using political energy in the form of fiat paper is so much greater that the deck is just stacked against everybody else. Now the question is just who's going to jump on it and how fast. Which politician, which big tech company, right? if Apple gets on Bitcoin, you know, they generate $1 trillion of additional market cap just on the balance sheet maneuver. That's the first trillion. If they build it into an iPhone, you make another trillion. If you're smart, you have a $10 trillion asset in your cloud and you become a $10 trillion bank. If they do it, or they don't do it. The world's full of examples of empires topple because they did not embrace a new technology. You know, the Romans needed the Etruscans to whiff, you know, and for the Greeks to take their eye off the ball. And then, you know, one thing leads to another. And when you get enough power, you start to become more closed-minded. Right? If you have enough money and enough power, you don't need to learn anything new. What we see going on right now is every single powerful person in the world is asked the question, what do you think of Bitcoin? Everybody, the premier of Russia, every world leader, every major investor, every major influencer, everybody's got to have an opinion.